From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson, joined by my dear friend on the phone.
The hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV. You're truly the man of the hour with the mighty power. Hector Bosa, that's right, where all the ladies come to pay me in some aspect. But Jamie, the question is, the Cotton Bowl or the Rose Bowl, Florida losing to Oklahoma. Were you expecting that?
The last I checked, the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl were about 3.5 months ago.
Yeah, that's why. But did you see how they lost and how they won? No, but seriously, I have to say that the Yankees are playing not great. They won barely. What's going on with them?
Well, what's going on with them is that they're not hitting. I mean, except for the Cleveland series where they took 3 out of 4, they just haven't been hitting. And because they haven't been hitting, they haven't been scoring any runs.
Now, is it time to fire Aaron Boone?
No, not even.
Is it that time to fire the Boone man?
No, not at all. Aaron Boone's done as good a job as can be expected. So I think to get rid of the guy is just premature.
But the problem that you have here is that and you know this to be true, whether it's his fault or not, the team always fires their manager because they're on a very bad losing streak, even though they did win. But they're at the bottom of the heap. And this is supposed to be a team that's supposed to be up there.
Right.
So, under normal circumstances, you would have had, if George was there, he would have had him fired already. The old George.
Yeah.
But what's going on? I know it's just hitting, but is it everybody not hitting, or is it the fact that I'm not understanding the basics of why aren't they hitting? Are they not hitting in clutch, or are they just not flat out hitting at all?
They're not hitting in the clutch. They're not hitting with bases empty. That's it in a nutshell.
And that's a damn shame. That is a damn shame because, again, on paper, they're supposed to be a championship team. Now, should people be worried? Because we talked about this before. Should people still be start worrying now, or should they wait at least a month or two?
No, I'd give it another couple of months before we really cry. Before we really cry that the sky is falling.
Because I think I'd give it one more month. If they're not winning some games, more games than losing, what do you think they would do?
Then my guess is they would probably start to explore some trades where they would bring in some bats. Because they're still in the mentality that they're contending for a championship.
Right now, who's in first in that division?
Right now, the team that leads the American League East is the Red Sox. 14-9 record.
And who's in second?
Then there's Tampa.
What's on third?
Then there's Toronto.
Go ahead.
And tied for the rear is Baltimore and the Yankees. Those two teams play each other in a a 3-game series starting tonight.
Who's pitching?
4-game series, rather. And pitching for the Yankees will be Davy Garcia, who just got called up from the alternate site.
Miguel Andujar, getting work at an unfamiliar position. He must be playing first base.
It's either first base or the outfield.
Oh, is that team down people? That they're getting. He's starting at first base today.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm getting at. You let a guy that could play first base let go of him, and now you're trying out people at first?
Well, keep in mind, DJ LeMahieu is the first baseman for now. That's until
Luke Voigt comes in.
Until Luke Voigt returns from injury.
And that's if he starts to hit, because remember, I think they were going to trade him. They were talking in the beginning of the year
about possibly sending him away in a deal.
Yeah, or getting rid of him in general. Try to trade him. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I thought it was a mistake at the time, and I still think it's a mistake.
Because if he's not producing, if you can get him something better,
Keep in mind, Voigt has been hurt the entire time.
True.
He had a knee injury, so I think it's best that the Yankees bring him back at first base and then have LeMahieu be the second baseman before anything else.
Chris Gittens? Is that the guy's name? Yankee prospect Chris Gittens.
Yeah, what about him?
How good was he, or is he?
Well, we've never seen the guy play, so we're not really sure exactly how good the kid is.
But how has he been? What have you heard about him?
Oh, let me see if I can find that out right now.
Because I tell you the truth, this is where if you produce, you're in like Flynn. You can get in. If you can produce and start hitting just like LeMahieu and some of the other guys that get a chance. If they do well, they may try to keep them up here. But Clint Frazier reduced playing time has been justified. Is that also true? Or did he retire? No, he hasn't retired yet.
Oh, no. Clint Frazier's not going anywhere. Granted, they've been stringing the kid along for the longest time, but I still think that he's got enough ability where he could probably warrant a chance to play a lot longer.
Yeah, because when you get on a hitting slump, that's it. Yeah. When one person goes on a hitting slump, everybody seems to get the bug. It's like the flu.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of any trades lately that the Yankees are trying to do?
Nothing.
Because I'm seeing that the rumors could the Yankees be trading for someone from California?
From the Angels,
Yeah, from the California Angels. or excuse me, the Los Angeles Angels. Jesus, I can't get that in my head yet. The
Well, the
Los
Anaheim
Angeles
Angels.
Angels. Oh, yeah. It's unbelievable. But the Yankees and all light trade talks regarding, I feel, Aaron Judge.
That's nothing new because someone dropped a rumor about a possible Judge trade about a year ago. And
Wow.
when you think about it, Judge has only played a full season, I'd say, once since he's been with the Yankees. And the Yankees want for him to be able to play a full season. He's been bitten by the injury bug more than once. So if he gets another major injury, this could frustrate the Yankees to the point where maybe they might explore a deal.
But your top three hitters, Sanchez, Judge, and what's the other guy's name? Giancarlo.
Stanton, yeah.
Yeah. Here's another one. That if they get hurt, that's it. That's been taught. That's been doing for a long time now. And if, let's say they do decide a Judge trade,
Mm-hmm. They would want a pitcher in return.
How many people can they get from him?
How many people can they get for him, you mean?
Yeah, for him. How many people can they get for him? Right.
They would probably want a pitcher and an extra outfielder.
But it's got to be a name. It just can't be not a regular guy. It's got to be a name. You would think a name, wouldn't it?
A big name player? Well,
yeah. I mean, if
you're thinking Mike Trout, then all bets are off.
No, Judge is considered to be a name, a big name player.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that people will go and say, how could you trade him if he's homegrown? If you want to get rid of someone, get rid of Sanchez or someone else.
Yeah.
You know, so what do you say? What do you say to all this? What do you say to all this? And how do you start the team to start hitting? What do? You pick, put all the names in the hat, and whoever you get, that's the batting lineup?
Don't expect any changes in the batting order. That's one thing, because Aaron Boone likes consistency. That's number one. Number two, as far as a potential Aaron Judge deal, don't be surprised if that happens, though, because, like I said, he's been bitten by the injury bug more than once. And if he gets hurt again, this could prompt the Yankees to probably think about, not necessarily explore, but think about making a deal for him.
Well, that's the thing, too. What are you getting? What are you getting? Who are you getting? And what team are you getting from? Because remember, it just can't be, it's got to be an all-star in there for the Yankees to go, okay, we'll trade him if you give us probably 3 people, 3 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't know that, is it Garrett Cole?
Garrett Cole?
Yeah, the the pitcher that he has his own catcher now?
Yeah, Kyle
Is it him?
Higashioka.
And they said they would never do that. And here they are doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to play the kid because he can't pitch with Sanchez.
Tell you what, though, Kyle Higashioka is a good player, though. He's got a little bit of pop in his bat. So if there were ever a reason for Higashioka to catch, aside from being Cole's personal catcher, that would be it. And don't be surprised if Higashioka catches more than just Garrett Cole. He might catch the other guys on the roster as well, which would be an indictment of Gary Sanchez and his lack of hitting credentials.
Yeah, but they all go through that. They all go through that, and they all go through that in the beginning sometimes. It's just how do they recover? How do they recover from this? I know people can say, "Oh, hitting, they got to hit," but who's out there that they can legitimately get?
Knowing how the Yankees work, not just this year, but in the past, they would probably get somebody who's on the scrap heap and who was discarded by another major league club, or is about to be discarded by another major league club. I mean, look at what they did with Rugi Odor. They picked him up. They picked him up because the Rangers were ready to give up on him, and also the Rangers were paying his entire salary. So, what does Odor do? He hits a few home runs, big home runs, and he's become a big part of the lineup.
And speaking across the river, the New York Mets.
They're actually playing well recently. I mean, aside from getting swept by the Cubs, at least they were able to take a series at home against Washington. And one of the games was that just masterful start by Jacob deGrom where he struck out 15 batters and had the fans chanting MVP for him. But now the Mets are going from the frying pan into the fire because they've got the Red Sox for 2 games, tomorrow and Wednesday, in Citi Field.
What do you think of the Mets getting Richard Rodriguez?
Who?
Richard Rodriguez of the Pirates.
Richard Rodriguez of the Pirates.
Off to a fast start with a perfect and 3 saves, but because I'm trying to pick up some things here, and I'm just trying to see they're like I said, top to bottom, the starting 5 is better than the New York Yankees.
For now, they are, yeah.
But middle relief and the relief has the Yankees. The Yankees have it better, correct?
The Yankees do have the better bullpen, yes.
Yeah, bullpen, right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering, again, what is it that the who's out there that the Mets can get because they still need bullpen help. And well, right now, who's in first place in the Mets division?
In the Mets division, that would be the Mets themselves by a game. They're up by 3 games in the win column, although they're 1 game behind in the loss column. The Mets lead the East. Then it's Philadelphia, Atlanta, Miami, and Washington.
Now, have they improved? Were they on your list when they started the season? That Philly was going to be good or the Pirates were going to be good?
I actually thought Philly was going to be better this year because they had the batting order that could probably challenge a lot of pitching staffs around baseball. But so far, Philadelphia struggled a little bit.
And who's in third again?
Tied for third is Atlanta and Miami. And then after that, Washington brings up the rear.
So the teams that you mentioned, do you think that they would still be in the top 3, any of them, or did they just get off to a bad start?
They're just off to a bad start.
Well, right now, because, Washington, they're not normally in last place, are they?
Not lately, though. No. It had been the Miami Marlins that were a cellar dweller annually for the last 3 or 4 years. Although last year, in a shortened season, it was the Marlins that wound up taking the wild card and then won a first round series against Chicago.
What's going on with them, the Marlins and them that they're up there right now, and what's going on with the Nationals?
Well,
they're doing horribly.
What's going on with the Marlins is that they're getting contributions from some of their young players. And what's wrong with the Nationals is the fact that they're not hitting.
And the Nationals?
The Nationals are not hitting. They have a minus 24 run differential so far this season.
Isn't that Derek Jeter's team, the Marlins?
Yeah.
And who do they? I mean, they have young players right now.
Yep.
So they're starting from scratch again?
Mm-hmm. They're starting from scratch all over again.
Well, hopefully they won't have to trade people if they ever win again, because they can't pay the guys.
No, I don't see it happening this time. I think the Marlins are making more of an effort to try and be a contender.
But you know what happens once they become contenders, let's say, then most of the times, they become either they trade their players because they can't pay them.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time, and I mean I understand because they're not making money over there.
Mm-hmm.
And with the coronavirus, it's even worse. Now they're starting to bring back a lot more people in the stadiums. Little by little, they're starting to bring back more and more people.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because the Mets are actually thinking about expanding Citi Field.
And I'm sure that they'll get the people in because people have been so cooped up that people want to go out now. But can the sports teams recover from this?
I mean, they can because I think as the era continues, the governments of certain states will be able to allow certain teams to have capacity raised a little bit. But as of right now, they're taking every precaution to make sure that patrons stay quiet. Well, not stay quiet, but uh,
And, it's going to be fun because switching gears for a sec, you have the Brooklyn Nets also allowing people and New York Yankees and everybody else trying to increase. And the New York Nets want more people, but their players are going down like trees. They're down to 11 people.
yeah.
What's going on there and who's injured?
On the Brooklyn Nets,
Yes.
James Harden. He has a problem, I think, with either a hamstring or a calf injury, and he's out indefinitely for right now.
Who else?
Well, they just welcomed back Tyler Johnson from injury, and Kevin Durant just got back from injury. In fact, he was the reason why the Nets were able to beat the Suns yesterday in Brooklyn.
Is what's his name doing? Griffin. Blake Griffin. Is he doing anything?
Yeah, Blake Griffin had a pretty good game yesterday.
But he's doing well for the team, being a former All-Star. This is what I'm getting at. That team is tremendous. If they could all stay healthy for a little bit and be on the same court.
That's the operative phrase. If they can stay healthy. But I worry about what would happen if one of these guys gets hurt during a pivotal playoff game.
Because the Nets always had that curse on them.
Mm-hmm.
The Nets always had that curse on them that they will lose people or they would get people hurt, just like the Knicks.
Yeah.
Just like the Knicks, but the Nets have been worse. But now that they got an all-star team, do you think that all of the players that they have out, do you think they'll be ready for the All-Star? I mean, for the playoffs?
They should be ready for the playoffs because they have another 10 games to play with. So this would be just enough time for them to get everybody healthy. And to give you an idea about Blake Griffin, just yesterday, Blake Griffin had a 16-point game. And Kevin
so he
Durant
was worth the pickup.
Yeah. He was a really good pickup for the Nets. He gives them scoring. He gives them physicality.
And also,
and he's even adding a perimeter jumper.
Again, a player that wants to play for the Brooklyn Nets because they have a
Precisely.
and they don't have James Dolan as a GM. As an owner, I should say. Not a general manager, as an owner. But I hope that all of them, because I would love to see what it's like for them. Do you think that they can go all the way and win the big one?
They can because they definitely have the players to do so. But the Eastern Conference, I'm telling you, it's just so tough for them to get through. I mean, there's Philadelphia, there's Boston, there's Miami, the Knicks.
The mighty Knicks. You say the mighty Knicks on that one, son.
No.
The mighty Knicks.
They're not mighty.
Yes, they are mighty.
They're not mighty.
They had a 9-game winning streak. This is a team that you didn't think that were going to do anything. they've been the games that they've been losing the majority of them have been close. I mean, they have been blown out once or twice, but the majority of them have been close games. That there's a different atmosphere and with the players. I'm not talking about James Dolan. I'm talking about the players and Leon Rose, and the other guy that instead of letting him go, but they kept him too from last year.
They kept him because they knew he was a yes man who would bow down to their every need.
But again, and worldwide too, a lot of people had problems with him too, and the team seems to be on track. The mighty Knicks are winning. Who would have ever thought that the Knicks are in sixth place?
They're in fourth now.
Look at that! Look at that! Fourth place.
I want to see them keep that momentum going, though, because they've got about 10 games left in the year, and if they can keep the momentum going, just maybe they could keep the fourth spot. Speaking of the NBA, you know that this year they're having the play-in games for the playoffs, in which the 7 seed would face a 10 seed and an 8 seed would face a 9 seed. Well, now they're looking to make this a little bit more permanent for the postseason, in which they would have these play-in games to decide who would be the 8 and 9 seeds for the playoffs.
What do you think of that?
I got to admit, I'm not necessarily a fan of it because I'm not necessarily a fan of it because it's only rewarding mediocrity among the 9 and 10 seeds.
But you can always get a Cinderella team out of it, too, because sometimes it's whoever gets hot.
I don't see it.
And the guy from the Knicks, the All-Star.
You mean Julius Randle?
Yeah, do you think he deserves the MVP of the year or the comeback player of the year?
Well, comeback player of the year, maybe. MVP, I think it's a real reach, to be honest with you.
Why is there a real reach? I mean, the MVP is supposed to be the person that carries the team and so on. I mean, LeBron wins it, and he carries the team, and he has really good players around him, but he makes the players around him good.
I think you can scratch LeBron from that list because he's been hurt the majority of the year, and I don't think the MVP is in.
Stephen Curry, then.
Steph
Curry.
Yeah, Steph Curry maybe.
So who's in your eyes? Who's the MVP? The top 3.
Donovan Mitchell from the Jazz. Jason Tatum from the Celtics. And Joel Embiid from the Sixers.
And Randall is not even top 5?
Yeah, I just don't see it.
What are those guys doing that he's not?
Well, for one, they're coming up with clutch baskets in almost every phase of the game.
So does he. Remember, the MVP is the person that helps the team be better. and to help win games and carry the team. He has put the team on his back. This is the guy that they were planning to trade, and now you have him carrying the team. He's an all-star player, and you're going to say right there on the spot that, the other guys. What do the other guys have that he doesn't have? He scores.
A championship caliber team.
And they're in fourth place right now. Donovan Mitchell. What team does he have?
He has the best team in the league, which is the Utah Jazz.
But it's about the individuality and what he do to improve the team. What is an MVP to you?
An MVP to me is a guy who has had the most impact on his team and also the most impact on the league.
Right.
Julius Randle hasn't really had an impact on the league, to be honest with you.
And how is he supposed to have the most impact on the league? What does that mean, the most impact on the league?
By winning games.
They're in fourth place. And the team relies on him more than anybody else besides R.J. Barrett and everybody else behind him. He's the main guy on the team. Donovan Mitchell, I'm sure, is he the main guy on his team?
Donovan Mitchell is the best player on his team, and right now, he's become the best player in the league.
Again, what is it that separates him from Donovan Mitchell then? Or the first three that you mentioned? What's the difference? He scores, he's been scoring, he's been playing defense, and he carries the team. Your MVPs do that.
Donovan Mitchell
must carry the team too.
Donovan Mitchell is a guy who's a stretch three, and he can carry the team to the next level.
And you don't think Julius Randle has done that?
In the Knicks case, it's been more of a team effort. It's not just Julius Randle. It's also been Emmanuel Quickley. It's also been R.J. Barrett, who's the second best player on the team. It's those three guys that have helped them get this far.
But he was the only one that made the All-Star team.
Just because he made the All-Star team doesn't mean that he's qualified to be an MVP.
The only reason why do you think he made the All-Star team? Because people voted him in? It's not like before where fans could write whoever they want. Now it's between the players, the coaches, and the fans. So he must be doing something right that the players and the coaches voted him in too.
Well, he's always been a terrific player, going back to his Laker days.
And now he's become a better player than before because now, for some strange reason, he has carried the team. He has put the team on his back. When he's not there, the team doesn't do very well. He's the main guy. If he goes down, that's it. I'm sure that they'll win games, but he's the main guy. You can't have him out for long. I'm sure if Donovan Mitchell goes down, do you think they can still win games without him?
They can win games without him, but they won't win a championship without him.
Exactly. So, do you think that do you think the Knicks need more of him, or they need less of him?
They need more of him. They need more of R.J. Barrett. They need more of Emmanuel Quickley.
For the Utah Jazz, who do they need?
They need a lot more
who's their
Donovan
top
Mitchell,
guy?
and they need a hell of a lot more of Rudy Gobert.
Again, their top guy is Donovan Mitchell. If the top guy is Randall, how can you say he's not at least the top 5? That's what I'm trying to get at. Donovan Mitchell is carrying the team because he doesn't have very good players around him. And you're saying because this one guy, he's carrying the team and he's making the players better around him. You don't think that Julius Randle is making the players around him better?
He's making players around him better, but he's not at the stratosphere of a Donovan Mitchell, a guy who is probably close to an all-world type of player.
Yeah, I know. I know you love the Knicks.
No, I don't.
You have to, you have to have an open mind, and you got to stop forgetting about James Dolan. You're comparing James Dolan with the Knicks. We know he owns the team.
I'm not comparing James Dolan to the Knicks. James Dolan is the owner.
Right, exactly. But
God
sometimes that could put you in a state where you can say, well, since James Dolan owns the team, I don't really care so much about the Knicks because it's James Dolan that owns the team. They're in 4th place. If it wasn't for him, do you think they would be in 4th place?
Who knows?
Honestly, if it wasn't for him and the team was built this way, the way it is right now, and they didn't have him, and you had R.J. Barrett and all them other guys that are doing what they're doing, do you think they would be in 4th place without him? They wouldn't be. I can tell you flat out now, they would not be in 4th place without him. That's my whole point. If Donovan Mitchell wasn't on the team for the Utah Jazz, do you think they'd be in 1st place?
No, not even.
Okay, so I ask you again. If Julius Randle wasn't on the New York Knicks, do you think they'd be in 4th place?
No, they'd probably be in 12th or 13th.
Exactly. So, that being said, you really think that this man is not at least top 5 or top 3 in the
MVP voting?
For MVP?
In MVP voting? I
That's
just
the thing.
don't
Remember, if without a player, remember the MVP is a player that makes supposedly, because the way people pick the MVP now is craziness. But it's whatever the player does to improve the team. The Knicks were in last, and they were in 4th place. Think about it. From last year to this year, hell of a lot of bigger improvement. Yes, R.J. Barrett did get better. Yes, he didn't get the sophomore jinx. Let's hope he doesn't get it. Emmanuel Quigley has been a real good pick. Obi Thompson has been a real good pick. But if it wasn't for Randall doing what he's doing, he wouldn't be in 4th place. That's the thing. You just said it. If he wasn't there, they'd be in last place or climbing up. But you can't say that he's not MVP if he wasn't there. You got to remember what an MVP is. Just like Donovan Mitchell, you're saying he's an MVP player. Why?
He is an MVP player.
What is he doing that Randall's not?
He's a shot maker, both from inside and out.
Okay.
He's a shot creator.
Right.
He makes teammates better. He
Okay.
rebounds very well and much better than people think.
Okay. So you're saying that Julius Randle's not doing all this, and he's not.
I'm not saying that he's not doing any of that stuff for the Knicks. I'm just saying he's not in my top 5 of the MVP voting.
Who was your top 5? I'm wondering. You said your top 3, but who's the 4th and 5th one?
Numbers 4 and 5, Devin Booker of the Suns, Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers.
And I'm still trying to figure out what is it that they're doing that he's not. Because I don't see it. I understand, but because some could be a little bit more better in certain places, but you got to remember from last to 4th. That's how people also picked MVP. If they were in last place, what place were the Utah Jazz in last year?
What was that?
What place were the Utah? Where did Utah place last year? Second place, third, fourth?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were a 6th place team.
6th place.
Yeah.
And they got Donovan Mitchell, and they're in 1st place, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks, where did they place? Last place last year, or second to last place?
Around second to last.
And they're in 4th place.
In the conference, that is.
In the conference, correct. Where would they be? Not in their division, but where would they be if they combine? Who are they playing?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
If it stopped today, right, and you're taking the 2 Eastern Division teams, you're combining them together, where are the Knicks in that place? Are they in 6th place?
They would. The Knicks would take 4th place in the East. Utah, which, by the way, clinched a playoff spot.
Right.
They lead the West. Then there's Phoenix. Then there's the Los Angeles Clippers. Then there's Denver. Then there's the Lakers. And then there's Dallas.
Right.
And then after that, Portland, Memphis, San Antonio, and Golden State.
Now, it's normally the top 3 from each division, and then they combine them.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the Eastern Division, the top 4 or the top 5 from each division, who are they?
Brooklyn, Philly, Milwaukee, the Knicks, Atlanta, Boston, Miami, Charlotte, Indiana, and Washington.
Okay. So it would be, let's say the Nets are in 1st, Celtics 2nd. Who would be in 3rd?
Milwaukee would be 3rd.
Milwaukee. Who would be in 4th?
The Knicks would.
And
tied with Atlanta.
Huh?
Tied with Atlanta in fourth place.
And the Clippers, they'd be in 1st in their division. In their division. With the best record in their division. They have the best record in their division. But are they the best team for their division, for both the divisions?
Hmm. If anything, I would still say that the Lakers were the best team. If they were 100% healthy, the Lakers would be the best team.
And where would the Clippers land in that lineup, in that list? Where would they be?
The Clippers would be, well, the Clippers would be third in the West right now.
And the Knicks would be in fourth. Boy, I don't know. That's hard. That's a tough choice. I mean, I know most of the time you pick from, they were in sixth place, you take them to first, but normally it's whoever. If you were in last place and you take him to first, he's the MVP right away. But because they were in last place and they made it to fourth, he may have a good shot at it. He may, depending upon how they decide to vote, how they have it in their heads on voting.
There's one other player that I failed to mention who was the MVP last year and should be mentioned for that award this year. Giannis Antetokounmpo from Milwaukee.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm embarrassed that I even forgot to mention his name.
Nah, I mean it happens. I mean, come on. But I'm just saying, what is he doing?
Well, he's leading a really solid Milwaukee team right now, which right now is leading the Central Division.
That is something, boy. I mean, again, I'm not knocking I'm not knocking their MVPs. I'm just wondering how they pick them and how they decide who's going to win the MVP. But that's just very. It's just something how people pick the MVP. What is it? It's like the Yankees when the Yankees win all the time. Or even when they don't win all the time, but they have the best players in the leagues, supposedly, then does Aaron Boone, let's say, get a choice to be an MVP coach, the coach of the year?
You mean manager of the year?
Yeah, manager of the year. I mean, think about it. There hasn't been too many years that the Yankees have had manager of the year.
Yeah, Joe Torre, of course, was the last manager of the year.
Right. And that was in you said 2000, right?
I think 1996.
Look at that, 96. 1996. And again, the Yankees haven't been the Yankees in a very long time, but what was it that they thought that the manager was up for it at one point and he came in third or second?
Mm-hmm.
The Yankee managers always come in either second, third, or fourth somewhere, but they're never that close, even though they should be.
Right.
But because they're the New York Yankees and they have all the money, I mean, do you think that's justified?
Well, it is what it is. I mean, I really don't get hung over about who gets to be manager of the year and who doesn't. Although I will say this: if the Yankees come from behind and make the playoffs, either as a division champion or as a wild card, I think Aaron Boone should be chosen or considered for manager of the year.
If he comes from worst to first,
mm-hmm.
and if they don't give it to him, oh man. Or at least if he makes the wild card and then they make it past the wild card and win, let's say, the World Series, he should have it. But most of the time, since the voting doesn't go that far. It doesn't make it to the World Series. It makes it up to a certain point, and then that's it.
Right.
But I was wondering, should the New York Jets have interest in Ben Mason from Michigan?
Ben Mason from Michigan.
He's a tight end and a fullback.
Oh, a tight end and a fullback, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Jets are lacking at tight end.
But they got to pick a quarterback first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And
in all likelihood, the Jets would not have to pick Mason until day 3 of the draft, which means he would probably be in one of the one of the 4th to 7th round picks that they would need.
Why Wilson is a risk worth taking for the Jets?
Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he worth it? Because if he goes down the way he goes down, the quarterback that's supposed to go first, he's gone in the first round.
Right.
And the first team needs a quarterback. Whoever's in front of the Jets needs a quarterback. So, let's say, Wilson, should they take, if the quarterback's not there for him, should they take him?
Yes.
What's so good about him?
He's smart. He's very instinctive at quarterback. He's got a lot of poise. He's patient. He buys time to look at the defense. He's natural looking when it comes to playing off the safety. And he's got a lot of chemistry with his receivers. And he knows when the rush is coming.
Do you think that Sean Breyer has a chance to be on the New York Jets or on the Giants? He's a tight end. Or Brewer. Some of these mock drafts are something else. And like I said, if Joe Douglas doesn't win, at least does not come in last place this year, he's gone. You have to get rid of him. You have to. You can't keep a guy like that as your GM anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's starting off with a clean slate. And he's picking his players in all. So you think that the Jets should go after a quarterback?
Yeah, they definitely need a quarterback because now.
And the Giants, who you think they should go after?
I think they should go after an offensive lineman.
Who do you think? Since we don't have that much time left, who do you think is the offensive lineman that they're going to go after?
Honestly, I'm not really sure because I haven't seen any of the scouting reports on these guys, but we'll find out more after Saturday.
So next week, we're going to find out for sure who's going to be on the Jets.
And the Giants.
All right. Well, next week then.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Hector.
No problem.
And thanks to Kenny Graham on the other side of the glass. For everyone here, I'm Jamie.
I'm Hector.
Enjoy the draft, everyone. Good night.
Night-night.